Hello. Why do people refuse to be a witness for Matthew 18:16? You know where it says, if your brother did you wrong, tell him. This is so that you're not harboring in your heart, which leads to resentment. This way you can forgive in your heart and you truly give the offense to God, thus giving vengeance to God. And hopefully you're trying to help your brother to repent so that he avoids God's vengeance. He avoids God's wrath. So it's very loving to do, but whenever you ask someone to be a witness, they think, oh, you're making a big deal out of nothing. I mean, they have all kinds of excuses. Or get the plank out of your own eye. And they fail to realize it is me dealing, or you dealing with your plank, because, like, the easy one is robbing a bank. If someone asks me to help them rob a bank, and even if I refuse, but because I have knowledge that they're going to do it, and I don't inform authority, just having the knowledge makes me their accomplice. So telling him, hey, don't rob that bank, isn't enough. And it's not about the bank losing money or the people who deposited the money. It's about he could get killed in the process. You know, the security guard could shoot him, or he could shoot somebody. He may intend to go there and not harm anyone, but these things get out of control really quick. And so there are many reasons why people won't be a witness. And the first one is that. You tell a guy, hey, I won't help you, the guy will probably leave you alone. But if you tell the guy, hey, this isn't right, and I beg you not to, or I'm going to inform authorities, you just put yourself in a position where if he really wants to rob that bank, he could kill you. Or frame you. And so it's a situation people want to flee from. So one of the core reasons, though, that people won't be a witness is they're probably guilty of the very thing you're asking them to witness against. And if they witness against it, you've heaped burning coals upon their head. The kindness of asking them for their judgment and their love to tell somebody, yeah, hey, that isn't nice. If they're guilty of what that guy's done, it brings them conviction. And even at the deeper court, let's say just being rude, of calling someone an idiot or a fool, even a schmuck is a word they use. They may even call themselves that. They may bully themselves, oh, you idiot, or you can't do anything right. And that's not healthy for them. And at the same time, if you can get somebody who does do that, and you may not know they do that, to witness, you've strengthened them to the next time when they do call themselves an idiot, they might say, wait a minute, that's wrong. So they may not be a witness because they do that. If you can get them to witness even though they do that, you've helped heal them. It's like this huge ripple effect. People see it as chaos and you're making a big deal out of nothing. But it is a big deal. I mean, for you Christians, the fall of mankind was the serpent insulting God to Eve in order to get Eve to do something God didn't want. So insults are a very big deal. It is no minor thing. And not only that, like, I explained to somebody today, gossip. Okay, they said, oh, I just ignore it. I said, yeah, okay, but the problem with that is you have two options when there's gossip. You can join in the gossip, or you can not join in the gossip. But if you choose to not join by ignoring it, you're choosing the flight rather than fight response. And so you train your instinct to flee, so that when you see something that you think that you would fight for, like I read an article a few weeks ago, a man had walked in to a locker room at a university football team to the senior coach raping a 10-year-old boy. And all he did was slam a locker to interrupt it and walk away. And he thinks to himself years later, why didn't I fight? Why did I flight? Why didn't I grab the guy by the throat and rescue that little boy? And instead I just passed the buck to another authority who then did nothing. It's not enough to just exhort. You have to restrain as much as in your power to do so. And I'm not saying fight with violence. I'm not saying fight means, tackle the guy or kill the guy. I'm saying an exhortation. When someone gossips, you can say, hey, I don't want to be a part of that. If they try to gossip you again, you remind them, hey, remember I told you I don't want to be a part of these things. And then the third time, you can say to them, hey, I'm going to go tell so-and-so. Now, don't go tell so-and-so without evidence, because they can convince so-and-so that you're the one who was gossiping. You need to get a witness, okay? So you need to grab someone else, and you can even trap them, and you guys are having coffee or whatever, and say, hey, I was telling someone that I don't want to be a part of gossip, and they're not respecting that. What do you think? And they can say, they'll probably agree. And I say, well, it was so-and-so here in front of us. And usually in that scenario, they're not going to deny it. Now here's the problem. The person you're using as a witness has to be willing to go with you to the other person. And it's crazy, how when you read about these criminal cases where the mafia kills the witness, it's crazy how people won't be a witness even over something as gossip. And they'll try to justify it by saying, oh, but the person will be hurt when they find out the person gossiped. Yeah, but they may find out anyways. And why not be a part of the solution to stopping the gossip when they find out? It just gets really crazy. To me, it's really crazy how people won't be a witness. So the best thing you can do is just the third time pull out your camera and say, I'm going to record you as you tell me this, so that when I go tell the person, I have evidence. That person will walk away. The really foolish ones might even cuss you out on camera. And then if they ever do it again, you just start to pull out your camera and say, I'm going to record you. I literally did this to a guy. I pulled out the camera and I said, look, I'm recording you. And he literally sprinted. He ran away from me because he doesn't want to be exposed. And you know what? That guy doesn't come to me and do that anymore. It's done. And I fought. So that my instincts are trained to fight, not with violence, not, like the people who are not crazy, let's say, the people who are unwise and choosing to, bomb abortion clinics or something. That's not the way you win, because they think that's an injustice for an injustice and it solves nothing. But if you expose them, if you gather evidence with a camera or email or messages when you can't find a witness, nobody can slander you or trick them into thinking that, you made it up, you're lying. So the reason why people won't witness is, one, they're probably guilty of the thing you're trying to ask them to help with, even if it's just against themselves. Two, they don't like conflict. Why don't they like conflict? Because they want people to like them, which means they'd rather tickle people's ears rather than tell them what they need to hear. For you Christians, it says in the second to last chapter, I think, or even the last chapter of Revelation, that outside the city are the cowards. I mean, if you won't go to someone and tell them, hey, yeah, this guy was gossiping about you and I think you should stop. I mean, gossip becomes slander. It causes you to lose your reputation. You can lose jobs. You can lose friendships. It's a very big deal. And if they're afraid to do it because even if it might hurt the person, that's cowardice. That's like not willing. Like, let's say somebody has a disease and there's a life-saving drug that if they take this injection, it will save them. But the injection is going to hurt. And this person could be mortified over needles. But they must have it, right? But you don't force them to take it. You just tell them they need it. And if you're not willing to tell them they need it, you're an accomplice to not saving them. You're being extremely selfish, and you call it loving. Oh, I'm forbearing. Oh, I'm letting it go. Oh, it's a minor thing. No, it's not. And This is why evil prevails in the world, because like a spark that sets a whole forest on fire, if you can put that spark out, you prevent somebody from allowing evil to master them. If a gossip could never find someone willing to listen to them, they'll stop gossiping. If someone who throws insults is like, hey, don't do that, enough times they'll stop doing that. Like Pavlov's dog, even if it's not repentance, it'll happen from behavioral response of always being corrected. So, if you're not doing this, if you're not willing to be a witness, you are not loving your fellow man as yourself. You are loving yourself because you have selfish reasons to not tell them. And you flip it upside down, you call evil good in order to say, oh, the reason I'm not doing it is because I'm so loving. God's not mocked. You're sowing into yourself something that you will reap one day. Just as that man walked into a locker room, saw a 10-year-old boy being raped by an elderly man, and didn't do anything. Now the next day he did report it, and then the people he reported it to didn't do anything, and so for years it went on even more. He could have prevented more kids from being molested if he'd have grabbed the guy by the throat that moment, called the police, pulled out his video camera, something. I say this to you guys because I think highly of you. I think you're capable of having courage. I think you're capable of maturing. You just have to start with a step. Just like learning how to walk, learning how to swim, ride a bike, drive a car. You cannot understand it until you try doing it.